Built in 1985 to host the first Formula One Grand Prix behind the Iron Curtain, the Hungaroring is celebrating its 20th anniversary by hosting the inaugural season that will launch the careers of the Formula One stars of the future. Welcome to the GP2 Series here on Speed Channel. Hi everybody, I'm Bob Varsha with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. This, of course, is the second championship race of the weekend for the GP2 hopefuls. Yesterday's main event was an exciting one, and the results form the grid for today's sprint race. So let's take a moment to review the highlights of yesterday's long feature on the GP2 Series. The view is always lovely here in Hungary. Not so much so for the ART teammates, Nico Rosberg and Alex Premat. The top qualifiers were sent to the back of the grid for having an illegal steering rack position in the car. Sounds a bit technical, but there it was.
That put Neil Janney on pole, and at the start he led Giorgio Pantano, while Scott Speed slides around in front of Heikki Kovalainen and drops into third spot down here at turn one. Speed was running third, but problems began for poor old Scott Speed. Americans hope he came into the pits. As he came into the pits first time around here, he pulls in the wrong pit, so he has to move up until next time. This one, of course, cost him valuable time and dropped him back to 8th position, where he rejoined, and so far he looks good, but things got worse when mechanical problems ended his day very prematurely. So Scott Speed out of that first race yesterday.
He was not the only driver suffering problems. Watch this big spin and wall contact for Jose Maria Lopez. He was okay, but that brought out the safety car, and of course that bunched up the field and ruined all that good work for race leader Neil Janney, trying to hold off the series points leader Heikki Kovalainen. On the restart, watch this. Kovalainen in third place, Giorgio Pantano in the black car all over the racetrack. Kovalainen able to block the Italian, and then Janney held off the championship leader. Kovalainen chased him all the way to the finish, but came up just short. Neil Janney picks up his first GP2 victory, 8th different winner of the year. Kovalainen in second, expanding his championship lead to 10 points over Nico Rosberg, who came from the back to finish 5th, while Giorgio Pantano rounds out the podium. Let's hear from the top finishers.
I tried to do no mistakes. Some little happened for sure, but at the beginning the car was really good. Have to thank the team there, and mid-sector of the race, in the middle of the race, we were quite strong until before the pit stop we got quite slow, and at the end of the race. But it was enough, and we won, so I can sleep very well today night.
Heikki, well done. Not the best of starts. Talking about the first start now.
Yeah, it was really start, if I say it directly. You know, it was. I didn't put enough RPMs, and the wheels got too much grip and the car broke down.
With a very good recovery, and then the safety car, and then very spectacular first corner there with Neil.
Yeah, it was close. It was close. I felt I had him probably brake tiny bit too late, but you know, not massively. But then obviously he gave me a bit of a squeeze at the exit, and I had nowhere to go. I mean, to touch him or to avoid him. And yeah, I tried until the last corner, but you know, it wasn't enough today.
Very close under pressure from Vito in those closing laps.
Yeah, it was difficult because our tires were finished completely. I mean, we stopped really early; they were completely over. So yeah, it was difficult. But I made a few mistakes in the race, which I wasn't quite happy about. So it wasn't really a perfect race for me. But it worked out well, and now I'm happy with this.
Very close race at the end there with Nico Rosberg.
Yeah. Hey, I spoke to my engineer in the radio, and he just told me just to don't overtake him, because the more I overtake today, the more in the back I'm going to start tomorrow. So it was better to stay there.
That's a pretty mature approach. You see the field gridded up. Engines start. There's 4-liter of V8 Renault engines that drive the field. Here's a look once again at the main race results, and the top 8 will be inverted. So Neil Janney, the race winner, will move back to the 8th spot for this second race. And Alexander Negrão of Brazil will start from pole with Olivier Pla alongside.
Yeah, the third time that Olivier Pla has been on the front row, been on the pole the last 3 races, starting at Magny-Cours, Silverstone. There you see Scott Speed after those mechanical problems yesterday, back in 20th on the grid. This is a notoriously difficult circuit to overtake on, and these cars are very evenly matched.
And as you saw yesterday, a few cars failed to get away from the starting grid in the opening race. Now as they roll off, we've still got mechanics on the grid around Alexander Negrau's car. And it looks like he has not started. Boy, that's a tough break. He gets to pole for the first time this year. He will have to go to the back of the grid, it appears. Let's take a look at our starting grid. It was to have been Negrau with High-Tech PK Sports and Olivier Pla on the front row, but that will obviously change right now.
Row 2, Ernesto Visa, who we just saw a few moments ago, the BCN Competizione car, and Nico Rosberg, of course, who came right back from the back of the grid yesterday.
On row 3, a race winner in Alex Premat with the ART team. Premat, a Frenchman, of course, starting alongside Italian Formula One veteran Giorgio Pantana for Supernova.
In row 4, of course, we've got our championship leader, Heikki Kovalainen, starting alongside Neil Jani, who won yesterday's race and now starts 8th.
Back on row 5, a pair of race winners this year, Gianmaria Bruni of Italy with the Coloni team, another Formula One veteran, starting next to Brit Adam Carroll for Supernova.
In 11th spot, Borja Garcia from Spain in the racing engineering car, alongside him Frenchman Nicolas Lapierre, Kovalainen's teammate.
Back on row 7, Hiroki Yoshimoto of Japan with BCN competition alongside Turkish driver Jean Artem.
Three-time world champion Nelson Piquet's son, Nelson Piquet Jr. in the high-tech Piquet sports car, alongside Jose Maria Lopez, who we saw crash out yesterday.
On row 9, Juan Cruz Alvarez of Argentina and Sergio Hernandez of Spain, both driving for the Spanish Campos racing team.
19th spot, Fernando Monfordini in the Durango car, and American Scott Speed, of course, who had all those problems yesterday.
Charlie Whiting with a bit of a rueful smile as he urges Alex Negrau's team to get him off the race. Let's go to row 11, Matthias Lauda of Austria, another son of a 3-time Formula One world champion. And from Malaysia, Fairuz Fauzi with DAMS.
And bringing up the rear, Giorgio Mondini in the David Price Racing second car, standing in for Ryan Sharp, alongside Clivio Piccioni in the second Durango car.
Now up top, race control discussing Negrau's situation as the field makes its way around. We'll take a quick break and return for the start. If you saw yesterday's race, you'll know it should be an interesting one. Welcome back to the Hungaroring as the field forms up for the start of race 2 of the Formula One weekend for the GP2 Series. Let's look at the weather conditions. Once again warm, but not as warm as we've seen, about 5 or 6 degrees cooler in air temperature. Once again, low humidity. Here come the lights. Olivier Pla all alone on row 1 as Alex Negrau went to the back of the field. Pla gets away and Scott Speed is not moving.
Scott Speed's troubles continue for this weekend. Everybody squeezing right over to the right-hand side of the track, trying to close that door on the inside.
Oh, and around the outside, Alex Premat trying to move up, going around Ernesto Vizo, but Pla in the blue car has the early lead. And there goes Scott Speed.
Well, I wonder what happened to him there. So they all thread through turn 2, lots of jogging and jigging around here. Woo! We're on board now with Nelson Piquet Jr. He's getting passed by a couple of people there on the outside as they go around that corner. On board again with him.
I'm surprised there's not been a shunt before now, because these guys have got to warm these tyres up and get some grip into them.
The field all on the same Bridgestone grooved dry weather tire. Ooh, and lots of guys sideways there as they climb the hill up to the highest point of the racetrack on the back side. The 2 ART cars there, the white ones. Premat and Rosberg.
Kovalainen goes wide there on the exit. Still trying to get around Neil Jani, who he struggled with yesterday afternoon. Now he's caught behind him again. There's Pantano. Pantano on the number 7 car. Giorgio Pantano's been around, done Formula 3000, 3 or 4 years. And now he's doing the GP2.
Former world champion in racing karts as well.
The 2 art cars, of course, started dead last yesterday, so they're having a pretty good day. Ooh, whoa, gosh.
Garcia and Alvarez ahead of Piquet Jr.
Yeah, put Piquet up a little bit. Oh, somebody else running very wide there.
Very difficult to pass on this racetrack, but you couldn't tell that by watching these guys.
No, you're right. They really do go at it. They're straight off lap 1, cold tyres. And they all did very well to get around that first lap.
And here they are, completing lap 1 and still going wheel to wheel.
And you can see the dust coming off the track. One of the trademarks of the Hungaroring, of course, is the fact that it gets very dusty here. And you can see it all hanging in the air there, down that start-finish line. Here's the classification. Pla leads from Viso, Premat, Rosberg.
Now, Pla is an interesting story. The last 2 Sunday races, he has started from pole. Today, he was on the outside of the front row, and he went off and won in dominant fashion on both occasions. And here he is, starting from the front row at the Hungaroring and beginning to draw away once again.
And of course, Piquet's teammate, Negrão, who was on the pole, unfortunately pushed away at the start.
Awful, isn't it? It's about 15 seconds to go. The last 15 seconds of the mechanics' time on the car, and for some reason the electronics failed on the car, couldn't get the thing to fire up.
Piquet picking up a position there.
And picking up one of those positions he lost a couple of laps back, so there's very intense battling going on way down in the depth of this field. This is running along the top of the hill. Great for spectators there. Look at the lead that Pla has got already.
Resto Virso. And the 2 ART cars, Primat leading Rosberg, then Pantano.
Oh, look at this side by side.
Lapierre, Nicolas Lapierre in the Red Bull car going by Lopez. And that's Gianmaria Bruni trying to take advantage of the red car.
But Lopez comes back, stuck right under the tail there of Lapierre.
Move. On board Garcia behind him.
I tell you, there's some pretty intense battling going on in this midfield section. Everybody thinking of overtaking to turn 1. This is the best spot on the track for overtaking. Oh, we've seen these guys overtake more or less anyway. Somebody going around the outside there.
Alvarez trying Lapierre around the outside. Looks like he's going to make it work, too.
Made it stick.
Whoa! A pair of spinners here. On the left, Mondini, Giorgio Mondini, who replaced Ryan Sharp with David Price Racing after Sharp, the young Englishman, asked to be released from his contract, and he's got big mechanical problems.
Yeah, there's something on fire under there. That's not steam coming out.
Oh, Negrão just center punches him, and they do a pair of synchronized spins.
So Negrão probably had only just come out of the pits.
Bonk.
That'll do it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
One more look.
Comes down.
Can't even see Mondini when the picture starts, and then right rear to left front. Oh, other extracurriculars here.
I think that's
Yoshimoto. So we've got action all the way around this 2.7-mile racetrack. Oh, and Scott Speed, who was slow getting away from the grid, trying to make up for it with fast lap to this point. Remember, that's worth 2 bonus points in the championship. And where Speed is right now, those could be 2 very important points. They may be the only ones he get this weekend. We'll be back.
Only about 100 guys in the world make a living riding motocross.
What would you risk?
This isn't a game. This is your life.
How far would you go?
You better watch your back tonight. I will kick your...
For one shot.
David beats Goliath.
That's the dream.
At the top.
Think you can take me on?
No risks, no rewards. Time to go get famous.
Back in Hungary for the second GP2 Championship race of the weekend. The sprint portion of the program. Bob Varsha, Steve Matchett, David Hobbs with you. There's American Scott Speed, who is slow away from the grid, set fast lap of the race to this point, but he's pitting, and the crew does not appear to be in a hurry. That's bad news.
It's very bad news. He's got 2 points so far for the fastest lap in this sprint race, which is very important, but it's early in the race. Somebody else will probably get it. There's Mondini, who knocked himself out there and
talking to himself a little bit.
Mumbling and muttering there.
Let's have another look at the start. Charlie Whiting, race director.
There's some yellow flags waving at the back here, but
that's for Scott Speed not getting away.
Yeah. And there you see him parked at the back there, all rushing over to the right-hand side up to that wall. Traditionally, the left side, the right side of the track here has been very, very dirty and dusty. You can see the dust hanging in the air in the background of that shot, but certainly seems to be a bit better. All these guys rushed over to the dirty side there, going to turn 1.
I'm very impressed with these guys being able to handle those cars through this first corner on cold tyres straight off the line. I thought there'd be about 5 or 6 of these GP2 cars.
Wadded up right now.
But we did have this a few moments later, however. Mondini was knocked into a spin.
I'm not sure who knocked who into a spin there. It's all a bit 6.5.
Garcia off and on. The race leader is Olivier Pla, who for the 3rd straight Sunday race under the Saturday-Sunday 2-race GP2 format is rocketing away from the field looking for his third straight Sunday morning win.
It's something he's done, and he's done very well, hasn't it? As soon as he gets sight of an open track, Pla's just gone.
Doesn't seem to do quite so well when he's buried in the track, keeps on coming 8th, which of course is wonderful. The next day puts him on the pole.
Is he doing that deliberately, do you think?
Sunday morning Ollie, they call him. Look at that. Big lead. Here's the 2 art cars, and right behind them, Giorgio Pantano hanging right in there. Ernesto Viso's gone. This is not Ernesto Viso. This was Garcia. We were on board with him just a moment ago looking out the back, and that was looking out the front, and the view wasn't quite so good.
Let's see what happens here. Gets the fronts locked up.
Big lock up. He's not doing much turning, and he's into the gravel now. He can't turn, and the wheels are still remaining locked up.
Yeah, that's not just a brake problem. That's just he's not just locked up going down into the corner there, has he?
Let's look from outside.
And the rear wheels are still turning very fast, which would certainly indicate they're still turning, which would indicate to me big stuck throttle.
I wonder, they are fly-by-wire throttles.
Shouldn't stick.
Well, they can. What can happen? There's a little potentiometer on the pedal.
The wire comes off,
which monitors that. Yeah, and if the clip comes off the pedal, the potentiometer falls open. It just registers full throttle to the ECU. I want full throttle.
I need full throttle. The brake pedal say no, you don't.
Absolutely.
See.
Well, here's the classification. No sign of Ernesto Viso, as you mentioned, David.
He seems to disparu, as they say.
So the Venezuelan is gone. Hoping to become the first Venezuelan in Formula One since Johnny Cecotto partnered Ayrton Senna way back in 1984.
Adam Carroll and Nelson Piquet Jr. up there in that looks like Garcia. I think that's just the dust coming off his car.
I don't know. His situation might have gotten worse.
Well, of course, it just shows. There's Yoshimoto again. We've seen him off the track once before, locking up big time on the left front. Gets the out again. That shows the.
That was just too keen going into the
benefit
corner,
of those asphalt runoff areas too, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Yeah,
tires not turning.
The lead old Bla's got over these two guys. Primat, Rosberg, Pantano. And Neil Yanni is following Pantano, and behind him is Kovalainen, who I think is quicker than Yanni, but he just can't get around. And here we see the first 3 come through. There's Pantano, and here comes Neil Yanni, and right behind him Kovalainen, who really needs to get near the front because he can see Rosberg up there scoring a lot more points than he's scoring today.
And Rosberg's looking ahead at his teammate Primat, which has not been the case for much of the season thus far. Diving down into turn 1 again. On board with Piquet Jr., who's had a horrible season to date, including a couple of mechanicals, a couple of driver errors. Desperately needs to score some points this weekend in Hungary. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the GP2 finale. It's Sunday at the Hungaroring. A big spin there. Well, that's Lopez, who crashed out of yesterday's long format race on the coming off the final corner, and here he has
similar sort of spin, backed it into the guardrail, but didn't appear to do any damage this time.
Mr. Lopez tends to spin in a straight line, which is a bit odd.
Well, he's getting out of the car again. The car's stuck there. Yes, they brought out the safety car. Here you see it again. Look at the way he whistles back right in front of the field there. Starts to spin to the inside, then it grips and whips itself to the outside. That must have given a couple of people.
Let's have another look at it.
Gian
Bruni.
Oh, Bruni thought he was going to go to the outside, but I tell you, Bruni and Alvarez did a very good job there in moving to the inside because his car just suddenly changed direction in the middle of that spin.
Trailing throttle oversteer, the instructors would call it. That was on board Piquet's car. Looks like Clivio Piccioni and the Durango car has gotten around him. 21 laps remaining. If you're not familiar with the GP2 format, 2 races per weekend, with the exception of Monaco, where they ran only 1. A long race on Saturday. There's a look at Piccioni going by Piquet. Long race on Saturday, points to the top 8. And then a short sprint race on Sunday with points to the top 6.
Oh, Piquet's having a thought there about putting Piccioni off there. That's into turn 12, which was redesigned a few years back specifically for that purpose, to help overtaking. Now that Lopez crash has brought out the safety cars just 2 days in a row that Lopez has brought out the safety car. I think if you do it 3 times in a weekend, you have to pay for the pace car.
That's right. They send you a bill for the gas.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's going to bunch the field up, of course, when they bring the pace car out. I may have noticed on the Lopez car, it looks like there was some panels missing off the side of the car. That wasn't in any way a result of the accident. They've taken the cooling panels off, those shark gill panels that we saw in the previous race. Well, they've started to take them off because of the overheating problems they were suffering. But as you were saying, Bob, earlier on, the temperature has dropped a little bit today, and a lot of the runners have put those shark gill panels back on the car. Lopez obviously decided against that to try and cool them. But it's interesting that really the technical developments on this chassis, the Dallara chassis, from day one has always been to increase the cooling potential of the cars. They've obviously been overheating. There's the panel I'm talking about that's missing, right to the right hand of the Petronas sticker on the car. But they've introduced new cooling radiators for the water and for the oil. Then they come out with a new panel to increase the cooling around the bodywork. And then the latest development yesterday was, why don't we just take these panels off altogether?
Well, of course, yesterday they ran in the afternoon when it was very hot, up in the mid-90s. Obviously, it's only 10 o'clock in the morning there now. Here's more explanations of what happened.
Yeah. Matthias Lauda's older brother, who was also his manager, has not been a good season for Lauda either. There's another look at Lopez's spin. In fact, of the 3 sons of former Formula One world champions, only Nico Rosberg has shown race-winning form.
He has. I mean, he really shown
dominant race-winning,
very dominant form.
Although now with ART being sanctioned for that,
you wonder just how much was him and how much was the car, of course.
Yeah, no disrespect to the drivers.
That's what they call brake lockup. Right there. That's right there. That's brake lockup. See, the
toasted
left
Bridgestone.
The left front wheel is locked or stopped, stationary, rubbing off copious amounts of road. This bloke's still explaining what happened.
Well, that says 1,000 words, does it? Yeah. They all do that, mate.
Yeah, they all spin around. When you get hit, they all spin around.
Nothing we can do about that.
Olivier Pla still leading on Sunday. His favourite day. There's Primat, Rosberg, Pantano, Neil Yarni holding off Kovalainen still. Alvarez and Carroll. Piccioni behind Carroll now, having displaced Piquet just a couple of laps ago. And Monfordini, Artam, the dirt driver.
This will be interesting. This will put Pla under some significant pressure, something he hasn't seen in the last 2 Sunday sprint races. Lopez's car wheeled away. Doesn't appear to be significantly damaged.
At least it's being wheeled away. This is supposed to be taken away in a basket yesterday.
Bernd Maylander, the safety car driver, has the field under control. We'll take a break and return for the restart at the Hungaroring.
Wednesday night on Speed, old school racing is back. Pinks, lose the race, lose your ride.
I was confused by what you were doing.
I'm not. Back at the Hungaroring, about 12 miles from beautiful Budapest, Hungary, site of the GP2 championship this weekend here on Speed Channel. Bernd Maylander has the lights out on the safety car. Olivier Pla, who has led this race since the lights went out, looking for his 3rd straight Sunday GP2 sprint race victory, will lead them away.
And Pla was very mature there, I think. Sorry, Derek, I was just going to say, Pla was very mature. Dropping back as the safety car cut his lights off and the safety car came into the pit lane there. Pla dropped back and then got on the throttle. Remember that you can't overtake until the start-finish line on the straight. Really had a good leap away there and managed to retain the lead. It's something that young drivers tend to forget about. They just watch the safety car come in and they're not up to speed. The 2nd or 3rd driver in the line has the jump on them and they lose the lead.
Yeah, and Kovalainen was really sniffing around Neil Yarni's car there, but still failed to get by him, which of course is so vital because he's watching Rosberg up there in 3rd spot at the moment. He's on board with Nelson Piquet Jr.
Running in 12th. There are the 2 white ART cars, and we mentioned the penalty that set them to the back after a test earlier this year in the South. Whoa, Pantano straight lining those corners, but he gains no competitive advantage.
Yeah. Whoa, there goes Kovalainen.
No, look at it. Yes,
just cannot get around Neil Gianni. And I know that Neil Gianni's holding him up, because look how far behind Gianni is already from Pantano.
Yeah, Kovalainen will not want to wait. Nicolas Lapierre behind is not shy when it comes to diving in under the brakes either.
Even though he's his teammate.
Oh, still. Gianni holding up Kovalainen, Lapierre, and the rest of the parade.
Copious smoke tyre smoke you see, and there's old Olivier Pla still leading. He really planted his foot at that start.
Now we're on board with PK, one of the Durango cars.
That's Monfordini's looking back at, because Piccioni's in front of him still.
Now the ART cars, after a test in the south of France, as I was saying, suddenly came alive. Whether or not it was that steering rack suspension geometry change or not, I suppose is irrelevant, because right now, with the cars back in the correct specification, they started from the back, raced to the front in yesterday's long form race, and now here they are running second and third in the sprint.
Yeah, I mean, Rosberg is no doubt about it, the real deal. But of course, if you've got a little bit of a help, this is a spec car series. All the cars are tuned the same way. You can only do certain very small adjustments. But obviously, if you can change the front suspension geometry, you can make a huge difference to your car.
Alvarez went around Gianmaria Bruni. Juan Cruz Alvarez of Argentina on a charge. Started 17th. He's now encroaching on the top 10.
Bruni's had a win and a second at Monte Carlo in this championship, so he's no slouch, but he's not having a good day today.
The problem with the two ART cars is that you are allowed to adjust the suspension to a certain amount, as you were saying, David. Very little adjustment you can carry out, but if you do adjust the roll center on the front suspension, you have to adjust the steering rack position, has to remain in harmony and exactly the same line as the suspension. And I think it was more a technicality that the team didn't adjust the steering rack position, therefore fell foul of the regulations. But it's very difficult to see how you can get an advantage with the suspension geometry by moving the steering rack position. I think they merely, in a way, forgot to do it. I mean, you shouldn't forget to do that, but I don't see a technical advantage in moving the steering rack.
Well, mechanics tend to forget things from time. Oh, big lockup from Pla. So he's obviously pushing.
Yeah. He's doing a good job, and we've seen him on these. There's Neil Gianni Kovalainen just all over him, but he's getting nowhere, and right behind Kovalainen and his teammate Lapierre. Yep, big lock up at turn one, but doesn't seem to lose much time.
May have been driving his mirrors a little bit, trying to figure out where Premat was in second place. Left his braking a little bit late.
Gianni, Kovalainen, Lapierre, and Bruni.
We'll see, yeah, Alvarez now 8th, ahead of Bruni, who is now 9th. Points to the top 8 in today's race. Bruni, then Adam Carroll of Great Britain, a winner on a couple of occasions this year. Piccioni also has a victory this year. PK Jr. still outside the top 10.
Alvarez is running 9th. He's had a very good race. I mean, he's come up from 17th on the grid, so Alvarez having a pretty good run here.
Let me correct myself. Today is Sunday, the sprint race. Top 6 will earn points. Top 8 on Saturday, top 6 on Sunday. That's the mantra in GP2. Let's look at Adam Carroll. Laps beginning to trickle down here in the sprint race of the GP2 Series from the Hungaroring. We'll take another break and return. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Hungaroring on a warm Sunday afternoon. About 88 degrees air temperature, and Olivier Pla, a fine Sunday drive for the third straight race weekend. The Frenchman has started from the front row of the grid and pulled away into the race lead, looking for his third victory of the year. Alex Premat, his ART teammate Nico Rosberg, runs second and third. Rosberg second in the championship to Heikki Kovalainen, who runs a little bit further back in the top 6.
And with the Sunday scoring format, that's going to help Rosberg quite a bit.
Absolutely. As things stand, Kovalainen will give back all the points he earned yesterday, basically, to Rosberg.
Absolutely. There is Kovalainen still behind Neil Gianni. Jumping down the inside now at turn 2. This long downhill. It's understeerer, but can't make any real.
Oh, that's the race leader. That's Pla, who's slowing. And he almost got collected.
Oh, he did.
By Yanni, it looked like.
Right down there. I'm just coming out of turn 2, slowing, running down the hill.
There's no sign of fluids or smoke coming out of the cars.
No sign
Electrical problem? I don't know.
If he can't get going or can't get well off the racing line, we may see the safety car again.
So that puts Alex Premat into the lead.
Now that is a pretty remarkable weekend. Dead last on the field did Premat yesterday, and now he is leading. Okay, let's watch in replay Here comes Yanni, and then, Kovalainen just missed Pla. Inches.
Just missed that, whipping off that rear wheel by a hair. And here is Olivier Pla.
You bring up a good point, Data, whipping off the rear wheel, which allows us to point out that these cars are built to the same safety specifications as Formula One machinery. Carbon fiber tubs, tethered wheels to keep them from flying off the car in the event of an accident.
So the two ART cars now assume the lead, having started dead last yesterday afternoon in the long race. So they have worked their way up, started well this afternoon, and look at the way they're going to fit. Well, I say they're going to finish. There's still 11 laps to go yet, but a terrific effort by those ART cars. Well, and here's old Kovalainen still trying to get around Neil Janning.
And that's a great result for the team as well if they manage to keep in that position, because they were racing under the cloud because of that problem with the suspension. So now they can say, look, it was nothing that we were doing. We're back to the standard specification that we should have been running, and we're still managing to win the race. So don't think that we were doing anything underhand.
So everybody's moved up a spot,
even if we were.
A cynic. Yeah. Kovalainen looking down the inside.
Kovalainen getting desperate now. Finish blood up.
He's got time. Ooh, bit of a lurch there under braking. No traction control on these cars, unlike their big brothers from Formula One. The cars are about the same dimensions as the Grand Prix machinery. 4-liter Renault V8 engines, as I mentioned. Formula One style paddle shifting sequential gearboxes.
They're nice. They're a nice car. They are exactly the same. Safety car out.
I was just going to say, we're seeing yellow flags everywhere. Does that mean the safety car's coming out? Well, I guess they can't move it for some reason or other. So
here we go again.
Old Bernd Maylander parking it again on the approach to turn one, waiting for the field to catch him up. Meanwhile, Kovalainen, of course, can't pass Neil Janni now. Giorgio Pantano dropped back quite a bit there, hasn't he?
Well, safety car now, he can afford to.
About to catch it all up again, but...
Right. The cars have a very distinctive sound. We've talked about it before in our Speed Channel broadcast. They use an 8-into-1 exhaust system. Not quite sure why that would be, Steve, from a technical perspective.
Well, I can see no reason from a technical reason for it. I think it looks very nice.
The downside, of course, is it makes them sound like a 4. I mean, they don't sound very whiz-bang. They sound like a big 4-cylinder engine to me.
There seems to me no technical reason why they couldn't exit the exhaust on top of the bodywork.
Right, like a Formula One car.
Exactly like, as you say, their big brother, the F1 cars. I don't think they'd want to put them underneath on the diffuser as they used to run in Formula One in years past because of this ground effects styling where they've put the Venturis underneath the floor.
Might be a cost control, perhaps. They don't want the elaborate bodywork scalloping you need for the exhaust exits above the bodywork.
It could be. It's a possibility of that. But however, I mean, it's a hand fabricated piece. I mean, we might get a shot of it right there. Look, underneath the light, right below the center pylon of the wing. But it's a very complicated piece to fabricate.
There's a look at how close. Heikki Kovalainen got to.
Boy, that was quick.
Kind of reminds me of the Porsche Boxster, which has
Gianni Bruni, obviously unsighted too.
And that was a shock to everybody.
Slow-moving cars in the middle of a fast racetrack are always a bit of a shock, especially when you're unsighted.
All right. A blind corner, for those of you who don't understand British English. We'll be back. Welcome back to the International GP2 Series Sunday Sprint Race here on Speed Channel from the Hungaroring in Hungary. New race leader. After race-long leader Olivier Pla suffered mechanical problems, Alex Premat leads his ART teammate Nico Rosberg with Giorgio Pantano in third place, going for another podium.
Boy, and old Rosberg would very much like to get around his teammate, but I'm sure his teammate not too keen. There's Pantano, Yanni, Kovalainen, Lapierre, Alvarez, Bruni. Boy, Kovalainen, he knows that time is running out now. He's got to get past Neil Janni, and this is his best. Oh, Gianni's there. Bit tail happy, those cold tires again.
Oh, that's Fauzi looking back at Lauda. I'm not sure who was moving slowly there. Not one of the points positions. If you're not familiar with Finn Heikki Kovalainen, he burst on the international motor racing scene at the Race of Champions in the Stade de France last winter when he took on Formula One world champion Michael Schumacher in a pair of Ferrari road cars and beat him straight up on a pair of identical race courses.
And of course, he also did the Nissan World Series last year and absolutely whomped the old championship. So he came out.
And that was Kovalainen raising dust.
Yeah.
It's a great international series. We had 8 different nationalities in the top 9 grid positions for today's race. And of course, one American, Scott Speed from Manteca, California, with the Red Bull Driver Search program, who has had an absolutely brutal weekend, dropping out of both races thus far this weekend. But he still has fast lap of the race, so Scott Speed may come away with 2 points.
With a couple of points, which is what he's going to need, because these guys in front of, all these guys are in the point scoring positions right now, either in front of him or right with him in that points championship. There's Gianni running wide, but Kovalainen could not capitalize on it. He ran wide as well. That's in turn 1. Everybody makes so much of them going down turn 2, trying to get on the inside, a bit of smoke off Gianni's tyre, but Kovalainen still can't do it. His teammate Lapierre right behind him, waiting for a mistake from either of these guys.
I like that business of awarding points for fast lap. Oh, Hernandez. That's at turn 3, the downhill left-hander. Doesn't look like he damaged the car. Let's see.
Just
Yeah.
Locked up on the old brake.
Lost tire on the grass or something, wouldn't he? It doesn't take much to spin these cars around. They'll rotate very easily.
Look at Pantano, former Formula One driver with the Supernova team.
Looking like a great race at the moment from the ART team, isn't it?
Tremendous.
Pantano started the year with 1 points finish in the first 11 races. He has now scored in 3 straight. And here he is shooting for another podium.
And Primat has not won a race yet, but he's had a couple of second places, and he was 4th yesterday afternoon. So he's looking to add a win to his season. Rosberg, of course, has had 3 wins. Of course, at Hockenheim, he had the pole, the fastest lap, and he won. So he got tons of points there. You get 2 points for pole, 2 points for fastest lap.
Rosberg going for his 5th consecutive top 5 finish.
Closing up a little bit there, but of course it's under braking. As soon as you get on throttle again, that gap opens up. And I don't think these 2 guys are going to battle it out for position in the closing stages of this race. But
well, I'm sure that Rosberg will like every point he can get. He's 10 behind Kovalainen at the moment. He's going to pick up some points in this race anyway, because Kovalainen's only going to get 1 for his 6th spot. Primat, of course, has only got 37 points, so he's 30 behind his teammate, so it's not going to make an awful lot of difference to him. He's only going to pick up 2 points on him in this race.
Well, he couldn't ask for better weather conditions to hold this race. Beautiful summer's morning.
Giorgio Pantano, in spite of Formula One experience, has had a couple of seconds in the 3rd. This is the last lap.
Kovalainen still all over the back of Yanni, but Kovalainen does not appear to be the kind of guy who will stuff it somewhere he doesn't think it will go. He is not overly bold. He may be content just to take the points.
Yeah, well, Kovalainen's season got off to a terrific start. He had 3 wins and a couple of 3rds, and but it's whittling away now. Rosberg has had a fantastic last 3 weeks.
Well, a nice thing about this format, inverting the top 8 and so forth, is that it allows a driver to make up ground on a guy who has early success like Kovalainen. Take, for example, Alex Primat and Nico Rosberg, who come around in the most improbable way to finish 1-2 after starting from the back of the grid in Saturday's first of 2 GP2 races at the Hungaroring. Well done.
Oh, yeah, that's a great win for Alex Primat. Good points for Nico Rosberg, picking up about 3 points there on Kovalainen, so 10 points behind going into this race, getting closer and closer.
I guess we can say no team orders in place at the ART team. Otherwise, they might have let the guy higher in points, Rosberg, take the win. Well done for Primat.
yeah, good job. Good job by the ART team. Impressive. I say, especially racing under that cloud with that technical infringement, to come back and say, well, there we are, boys. Beat that.
And former Jordan Formula One driver Giorgio Pantano gets another podium. Yanni held off Kovalainen off to the left of the racetrack there, and Piccioni has taken fast lap from Scott Speed.
So that's a couple of points that Scott Speed did not want to lose and held them right to the very end. So that must be bitterly disappointing for Scott Speed, but not a good weekend for him.
The corner workers out for the traditional waving of the flags to the finishers. The village of Magyarország in the background, a beautiful little Hungarian village where life has changed a lot in the last 20 years since the construction of this racetrack. Nico Rosberg will be happy to have picked up a couple of points in the championship on Heikki Kovalainen. Well, they basically held station, I suppose, after Kovalainen got the better of Rosberg yesterday, and Rosberg returns the favor today. We'll be back in a moment for podium ceremonies from the Hungaroring. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Hungaroring, where Alex Premat celebrates victory in the Sunday sprint race of the GP2 Series. And like a good driver, goes over to congratulate his crew. Now time for the anthems.
Rosberg and Pantano did not look particularly pleased about that. I didn't think Rosberg looked like I think he only actually lost one more point, really. So
yeah,
by letting his teammate win. There's his dad, Keke Rosberg,
world champion for Williams. Well, I guess these guys subscribe to the view that second place is first loser.
Which, of course, is right.
Giorgio Pantano.
Hey.
And time now for the hose down. So the ART teammates answer their technical infringement penalty in the... Whoa!
Mind that cup.
It's a very expensive cup, my man. In the best possible way by sweeping today's sprint race with a little bit of help. Negrão, the pole sitter, fails to get away from the grid. Pla, the race-long leader, suffers a mechanical problem. But it goes in the books as a W. And a 1-2, something the ART team is making a bit of a habit of. There's your top three. Let's take a look at the final results, gentlemen.
Well, Alex Premat from Nico Rosberg, two teammates there coming from the back yesterday. Pantano in the Supernova car, Neil Yanni holding off Kovalainen yesterday afternoon and all day today, much to Kovalanen's disgust. Nicolas Abier, Kovalanen's teammate, and then Alvarez having a good run, coming from 17th on the grid to 7th. And Gianni Bruni, ex-Formula One driver. Adam Carroll from Britain, not doing quite as well as he'd hoped, but still beating Nelson Piquet Jr., also son of a world champion. And the rest of the field there. Olivier Pla finishes 20th, of course, with that DNF, as does Scott Speed. So not a good day for our United States hope. Points, Kovalainen still leads, but look at that, only down to 7 points now. Scott Speed still hangs on to 50 points, but Premat moves up, Neil Yanni moves up, Adam Carroll and Bruni both move down, and Giorgio Pantano comes up a lot. Ernesto Vizo gets some points yesterday, comes up. Negrão, of course, who got a couple of points yesterday and got on the point.
Let's have a look at the team points. After 15 of 23 rounds, well, ART couldn't have had it better today, could they? 1-2 in this sprint race, up to 115 points, way out in front now. Ardent International in second, have a lot to do if they're going to catch ART. Further down, PK Sports in 7th on 26, and right down the bottom, Campos Racing with just 3 on the board.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed the Sunday sprint race for the GP2 Series here in Hungary, but don't move a muscle. The accurate pre-race show for the Hungarian Formula One Grand Prix is coming up next, and of course that will lead us straight up to the roll-off of round 13 of the 2005 Formula One World Driving Championship. Stick around for David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. I'm Bob Barsha. Stand by for live Speed Channel coverage of the Hungarian Grand Prix.